Well, the more I read and delve into this continuing article about transposons, the more I think it's a wonderful object lesson for the vain imaginations of the evolution Darwin believers. Oh my goodness, all the words that are in here. Uh, we believe this. We think this. It developed initially, but all these things we talked about here. But let's take a look at how it goes on about how these ancient pieces of DNA that look at. It says that back when we were four-limbed vertebrates, like the Morganucodon rat, or the I forget what that's called now. The same bits of DNA that have been flip-flopping according to their story all around the genome of humans eventually help shape pregnancy in mammals. They believe that these genes introduced by viruses cause the placenta to be able to develop. A very complex structure for a very complex way of reproduction, and yet it's these little viruses that had the genetic information that modified us. This is fantasy, and that's all. The anthropomorphism abounds here, that the genes are innovating, that they transformed themselves, that there's things that they have to say. Read this. The researchers found more than 30% of the non-coding ones carry out several different jobs in the cell. Look at 409 small bits of DNA. Most of their function is still unknown. So how do they know? The functions are unknown. They don't know what they're doing. So they haven't found a function. So they've decided they must have a function because it goes with their theory if they did. They can't just be sitting there doing nothing. So again, transposable elements themselves, they were originally, they co-opted all this anthropomorphism, anthropomorphizing, where they think they lend human emotions, human will, teleological thinking or end-directed thinking. They ascribe to these bits of virus DNA or flip-flopping human DNA. They're doing this on purpose. There's no mechanism as to why or how. It's aimless, it's random, but they're assigning it through their verbiage will and direction. Anyway, this is religious belief. This has nothing to do with science. Look at this. They're long suspected that restriction enzymes must be used by transposons, but now they're looking for clues that maybe some transposons do involve restriction enzymes. The findings suggest this. Evolutionary relatives, they just pronounce these bits of DNA to be evolutionary relatives of each other without any evidence, certainly no proof, but just because it fits their preferred way of thinking. This is upsetting to me. Oh yeah, back when we were lancets and unjawed vertebrates, unjawed fish, jawless fishes, back in the Cambrian day, these transposons started doing stuff, and they borrowed enzymes to make new immune proteins. Well, how did our immune systems work before that? How did anything stay alive? So anthropomorphic, so teleological, whereas evolution doesn't have a will like anthropos, like we do, and it doesn't have anything in mind, like Stephen Jay Gould said. So end-directed thinking, teleological thinking, is irrational to apply to the situation. All of this is so imaginary, so contrived, so storytelling. It's pretty embarrassing that these people call themselves scientists and count themselves in our community of scientists that use the scientific method. They're really just story weavers, tale weavers. I'll go on with more of this because this article continues to be a rich trove of exposing the hypocrisy, the pseudoscience. I feel like that little dog Toto pulling that curtain away. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's what the trolls are saying about these posts. That's what the evolutionist community is saying to the public about the creationists sounding the alarm on the tower. You keep thinking. God bless, Dr. J.